The cost of cheap. This is a thought-provoking journey. Now, in a world inundated with tempting bargains and discounted prices, we often find ourselves seduced by the allure of the cheap. But what if I told you that nothing comes at a higher price than a seemingly cheap deal? Every product stamped with a cheap price, cheap tag, it bears the hidden cost, a cost that extends far beyond its monetary value. Now, beyond that enticing discount lies the exploitation, the degradation of our environment and some of the cheapest materials out there. So before you reach for that bargain, ask yourself, what's the true cost of that cheap? Because sometimes the most expensive price is the one we can't afford to pay. Now, let me tell you a little story that follows along with the cost of cheap. I was doing a lot of work with a private label company in the pet supplement business. Did a lot of human supplements, but really their calling card was the pet supplements, okay? You packaging salespeople know where I'm going with this. They had a new buyer. The buyer thought that they could go and find somebody cheaper. They thought it was not a big deal to replicate what we were doing for them. And this really wasn't at a time where we had raised prices or anything. This was that classic case where somebody assumed that they could do it better, cheaper, faster. They don't need to use us in our world, and they thought we were charging them too much, even though they weren't thinking about all the other value add, such as the supply chain, such as the quality inspection before it hits the ground, such as holding inventory in a warehouse. Anyhow, let me finish the story. Let's just say, hypothetically, there were 3 different flavors: beef, chicken, and liver. And this particular buyer, again, said, "There's no big deal. We'll go overseas. We'll find a supplier. We'll cut these people out. I'll pat myself on the back and run and tell my boss how much money I saved us." Great. Fast forward a couple of months or whenever the stuff arrived. And again, what happened was they did find an overseas supplier and they were cheap, real cheap. So for a month and a half, 2 months, we were kicked to the curb and there was absolutely zero kind of communication with us. But what happened was, as soon as that product hit the US soil, hit Long Beach, suddenly the calls started happening. This company were panicking because their shipment, not from us, but from this foreign entity, was now being held in U.S. Customs. And the EPA was called in. EPA? Oh, I thought that was interesting. But I'm starting to get 911 calls from not the buyer who kicked us to the curb, but some other ancillary who was calling us because the other buyer was either embarrassed to tell us or whatever. Hope you like this content. If you want more of it, I put together a specialized packaging alliance, a group of packaging professionals that are in different facets of this industry. I'd love to have you join us. The Specialized Packaging Alliance. Check out the link below to learn more. But anyhow, trying to make a longer story short. They chose a cheap supplier. The supplier made a decent product, at least from what I could see. The problem was their paperwork was incorrect. Now, that's the one thing about going overseas or working with any company is you have to make sure your paperwork is correct, especially from overseas. Now, this company bought chicken, beef, and liver, and the factory shipped everything in. The pouches looked great, the stuff arrived, but the paperwork said beef, liver, and chicken on the side of the cartons. Didn't say flavor, didn't say pouches, didn't say bags. It was in broken English that basically said beef, liver, and chicken. Now, what do you think the U.S. Customs, and this was going on when the longshoremen strike, so everything was really backed up to begin with. What do you think happened when that reached the border in Long Beach? They immediately looked at these cartons and the paperwork and the shipment and basically said, holy crap, we have raw beef, chicken, and liver. Quickly, we ran into the situation where they're calling us going, the EPA was called in, this stuff is now being held in quarantine, and we can't get our product. And of course, they did this at a time when they had no product. But they wanted us to not only help them get their product released, which wasn't ours to do, and they also wanted us to see how quickly we could run product. The whole part of this story is you can find a cheap price. You can find cheaper. There is no bottom. The problem is that a lot of packaging resellers, a lot of sales managers in the packaging space, a lot of customers think cheap and think that they can get a deal or a bargain or some sort of a one-up. Now, it may work every now and then. We've all stumbled into deals, if you will, and feel pretty proud of ourselves. But to look at and insinuate that we were somehow gouging them and we were somehow sticking it to them really hit home when they not only didn't have product for an additional 3 extra weeks, it wasn't released for 3 weeks, okay? Then they still had to rail it or truck it from Long Beach, okay, way across the other side of the country. The point with this is that they thought they were getting a deal. The buyer thought we were replaceable. The buyer thought this is really no big deal. You can go and get this stuff from anywhere. What we do is not that important, and they screwed it up. And again, the moral of the story is there's more to this packaging. I don't care what type of packaging you're in, whether it's commodity items all the way down. When you chase cheap or your customers chase cheap, you get what you pay for. And then what you're going to get into is a whole bunch of mess when it comes to either quality issues, timing issues, or incomplete shipments. I've seen that one happen a million times. Or let's just say hypothetically bottles with no lids, or lids with no bottles, or pouches with no outer packaging, or no paperwork, whatever it is. These are the kind of things that happen on a regular basis when you chase cheap. Learn from this. This is why we don't race to the bottom. This is why every one of our reps is educated on the benefits of the packaging that we work with, why the factory is who they are and what they bring to the table, and why we will not give this away. And it really pains me when I see packaging salespeople, packaging resellers especially, that are giving their stuff away because they just need a deal. The point is, do your job, know why you're good, know why you are better than the other people, and stay true to who you are. I hope you like this content. If you want more of it, I put together a specialized packaging alliance, a group of packaging professionals, if you will, that are in different facets of this industry. We talk strategy, sales, and marketing. I'll also be answering your questions. If you want to join, click the link below. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you want to see more, here's another video that you can check out, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.